Good afternoon and welcome to another Carp Fix episode. What a bite. Then my float just went, got him. And I was like, wow, we're in. Oh my God, that was sick. It's a joke what's going on out there. Like 10 of them and 12 of them will come up at the same time.
Time to puff the chest out.
Time to get my float on a little bit further out. And you're joining me at Farlows Lake, but not Lake One. We're actually going to have a little play this week on Lake Two, a lake that I've not done a lot of time on over the years, even though I've spent many nights over here at Farlows, but I always concentrate generally on Lake One. But the stock in this lake has become incredible over the last few years. I've always kept an eye on it, and only last week I was actually on Lake One. I was chatting to Scott and Charlie in the main office, and they're both saying that the amount of 30s that have come on in Lake Two now is incredible. So I thought, you know what? Let's bring the cameras down here and see if we can get amongst a few. And it is looking really good for it, despite the challenging conditions. It is going to be extremely hot this week, up to sort of 27s, 28 degrees. That is going to make things a little bit tricky. But this swim here, peg 12, does give me a little bit of options both on the bottom, the zigs, and the floaters, which if you've watched my Hardwick and Smith's film, you will know I absolutely love a bit of floater fishing. Now I've had a good walk round and I actually plonked a bucket in peg 21 to begin with, which commands the sort of bun zone, the sort of no fishing bank that separates Lake One and Lake Two. And there were a few fish there, but they were a little bit dormant. They were just sitting there on the surface, not really doing a lot, while the fish in this swim are a lot more active. They're swimming around, they're sort of looking for sort of food potentially, but most importantly, they are moving around. So I am going to set my stall out in this one here, probably give it a little go first of all on the surface, and then once the evening draws in, a couple of solid bags maybe a zig, we'll work it out as things start showing and progressing into the evening time. But at the minute, I'm extremely keen to get a few floaters out and see if we can get a few of these Lake Two carp feeding off the surface, because they are an incredible stock of carp, as I mentioned. Very scaly, very dark. I'm excited. I've got to hand it to Nash on this one. They have made a right little gadget here, the Dot Spod Air. It projects the bait forward once you hit the clip or sort of clamp down on the spool to not let any more line out, and in this case fires the mixers out further when no spom's going in the water, so you're not actually disturbing anything, and you are getting a bigger distribution of bait over a larger area. So they really are a cool bits of kit. I've not really used them for boilie fishing yet, although I will in the summer, but for floaters, big edge. Been a fairly chilled out first couple of hours. I've got a lot of prep to do. I'm not exactly prepped up on the old zigs, and that is one method that I think is going to be our go-to this session. Now I've got a couple of mates that have been walking around that I catch up generally on Lake One, but they're also looking around for opportunities, and they've all said that the fish that have been coming out, especially in this main body of water, have been coming out in the zigs, and it's no surprise. There's a lot of fish out there dotted about the surface. And when the evening time comes, you know, that's when our opportunities on the surface will come as well. But in the meantime, all about getting prepped. I've got a couple of zigs tied, and I've had a couple of casts with the marker float to get the exact depth, which is really, really important, especially in shallow water, which we've got out there. So getting the exact depths to get your zig in that exact bit of water that you want to be fishing in. Now, I cast out there, it's exactly 6 foot to when I see the top of the float. But when I mark, I have actually already measured out the float, and the float is exactly 10 inches long. So I'm going to take that off of the 6 foot, which then gives me sort of 5 foot 2 inches, and that's the exact depth at 15 wraps. So I'm going to be concentrated on the 5 foot to probably 4.5 foot, right in the upper layers, because that's where the majority of these fish are, and that's where I want my zig. So I'm going to get another zig tie, because I've only got 2 done at the minute, and then we'll think about getting rods out there. But it should become apparent that there's even more fish down here in this zone here in the middle of the lake as we get into the evening time, 5, 6, 7 o'clock. It should start looking really, really good for it. And as it does cool down, I'll start introducing a few floaters and see if we can nick a few extra bites, hopefully, off the top as well. It's a little bit quiet out here now. A lot of the fish seem to be holding in front of peg 2 and the point. Peg 2 had a day angler in it all day long on the floaters. It's been a struggle for everyone in this heat, but the fish have stayed there throughout the day. From what I hear, they usually drift back over this way in front of sort of peg 12, peg 11. You could argue peg 4 of an evening time, but that is not the case this evening they've just stayed there, they're showing, they're smashing floaters. There's another one just boshes in. They're absolutely stacked out there, so rather than look at them, which I cannot do, we're going to get round there and fish for them. So that's one of the reasons I've sort of not committed to this swim. I've not set up in a way, just been sitting on the bed chair, and now we can move extremely quickly right on dark and hopefully get on the main bulk of fish. Right, we've done the little move, and just like the other swim, important to find the depth. I know from experience, even though I haven't got a lot, that this section of the lake is a lot deeper than where we was. Although there are depths to about 11 foot in Peg 12, this one here is pretty deep all over, and yeah, the marker told us it's 10 foot. So I've deployed a 9 foot zig. If I'm honest with you, I'm gonna probably play with that 9.5 foot zig depth on all 3 rods. Yeah, until we get a bite. Like I said earlier on, these are tough conditions. It's bloody hot, roasting hot. But there are opportunities. You just got to make it happen, keep feeding the mixers, keep chopping, changing depths. And yeah, just battle through. And before you know it, after a couple of days, through a little bit of grit and determination, you will catch a carp or two. But yeah, I'm glad we've moved. It looks good for it. I've got one on black and yellow. I'm gonna put, ooh, that's a nice show. You see that one there? That was an absolute 2 of them. They're out there, they are out there. But yeah, I'm gonna put one on black and yellow, which that rod's on. And this one, if I can find one, a black and red. It's looking good. Well, I've always said there's no such thing as a bad move, because at the time, it was the right move. But that was a bad move. I was told that, you know, even though they are spending a lot of time along that margin in this section during the daytime, they will often, 9 times out of 10, head back down to that section of open water, sort of peg 3, peg 4, peg 12, peg 11 of an evening time, 5, 6, 7 o'clock. It didn't happen at 5, 6, 7 o'clock. Do you know when it happened? After my first cast in this swim here. It's just, I love carp fishing sometimes. So yeah, where we were is like SeaWorld down there. You know, octopus, carp, everything's down there. But I am told, as I mentioned, they will head back up here tomorrow morning. So, and I do feel like the majority of our action will come on the floaters and on the zigs, and hopefully that will happen tomorrow midday. Can't be having that. Fucking Dosser show. Good morning. Not the morning conversation I wanted to be having. Fishless, not a bleep. Terrible move yesterday evening. I'm putting that down to as a terrible move. But that is the joys of fishing sometimes. Now, a good mate of mine, Chris, last night, fishing over in Peg 1, had a lovely fish of 34 amongst others, and a lad in a corner again, fishing to a margin, had a nice 28. So it feels like margins are the key, and you know, it's common sense when you look back at it, you know, tough conditions, roasting hot, margins are the key, but you can get so easily caught up in all the fish showing in the middle of the pond, floating around on the surface, to get carried away with that sort of style of fishing when, you know, when it's operation nick a bite in these sort of conditions, your margins are your best mates. So we're almost starting again. We're going to come into peg 21, which sort of commands a really good bit of margin. I'm going to put one on the bottom straight off the bat against the little snag that's sticking out from the margin, and the other one I still will play around with a zig, because yesterday afternoon, as we got here, there was a few fish out here, albeit on the surface again. So let's see what today brings. We'll stay on the barra. Hopefully we'll nick a couple of bites here. Hopefully they'll stick around in the evening. We shall see, but we will keep trying. Now, as you've seen from this session, I have been staying extremely mobile. That is just the way I love to fish, you know. So setting your barra out to make things a lot easier for when the move does come, rather than it being a chore, I actually look forward to the move. So get everything lined up, everything set up in a way that I can move quickly, efficiently, and without any stress. Looks like another move is on the cards. Yeah, they're clearly not here. I've not had a single bleep, liner, show, nothing at all. It's very bleak in this corner at the minute, and that is typically of a corner, you know. When they're in there, it's fantastic, but corners can be devoid, and that's what this feels like at the minute. So back on our toes, I have noticed a swimmer's just come available. There's a few boys last night on overnighters, and peg 11 was a swim that when I was in peg 12, as I was putting my floaters out, they were drifting into peg 11's water, and that is when they was getting eaten. Now that peg 11's free, I want to have a good look down there. So travelling light once again, getting around the lake as much as possible and making it happen. So gonna get these bank sticks out, get back on the move. So we headed over to peg 11 this morning, and it looked really good over there, but again, the fish just weren't really responding at all to any floaters whatsoever that were put out there, and it was like an absolute cooker in there as well. There was nowhere really to hide, extremely hot. And the fish were in this zone where we're fishing now yesterday afternoon, sort of peg 2, peg 1. There was a lot of fish. We came round here, nice bit of shade. The Lord has shone down on us. He's brought us swans, removed the geese, and brought us carp. This is like, oh, I'm so happy. Right. Bloody catch one, shall we? Ended up sitting on my hands and just kept feeding mixes every 5 minutes, just threes and fours. And about half hour into it, finally a few started showing a bit of interest, but they were also a little bit sketchy, took a little bit longer to get them feeding, but after a good hour, there was definitely an opportunity there. Got my rig into place, and then this happened. Oh, mate, got him. I have never worked so hard in my life. I believe this is our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th move in 30 hours. And finally, an opportunity. The weather has been totally against us. This is like the hottest day of the year, and the fish has just gone extremely lethargic. Plenty out there, plenty sort of showing and dicking about, but they have started eating the first lot of mixers. I patiently waited, one boiled behind it, and we got one. Just turn it. He's going back out in the open water. It's one of them ones we was talking about. The Tony Campbell's heavily plated mirror. He's gorgeous. Oh, it's a good one as well, Ash. Oh my God. Oh my God, it's a good one. Mate, he is unbelievable. Please, Lord, just hook stay in. Come on, girl, this is the trip maker. This is the absolute session maker. Absolute session maker, Ash. We got him. He is a weapon. He is a weapon, and off the top as well. Oh, mate. He's gorgeous. That's what I wasn't sure about.
Wait,
it's so close, isn't it? Yeah, I know.
Where's the other side?
Cake cheese.
That one's called cake cheese now.
Cake cheese, yeah. Bang on, 28 pounds. That is perfect. Ugh. I am so pleased to be holding a carp, and what a carp to be holding. It has been extremely hard work, but I love this style of fishing, staying mobile, getting around the lake, making it happen, and it was the old floater rod that got us out of jail. stress is over. The carp in here are incredible. They've half done some growing. Everything that's coming out is in really, really good shape. Really, really good looks and really, really good weights. And I have been truly spoiled, and believe it or not, they're still feeding as well. So we may just turn this around into an epic session, but whatever happens, I am over the moon, finally, to be holding a lovely Farlows Lake Two carp. Oh my God. Mwah. Thank you, girl.